Yeah, well, that podcast had like 8,000 ads.
Yeah. I went to check it and make sure it was up there. I was like, oh, my word.
Well, it's bad for a podcast to have mid-rolls because YouTube just throws them everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it's, here's your ads. There's like 25 ads in the first hour.
Oh, wow. That's not okay.
No, that's not okay.
It looked hilarious. It was just one of those, like, you pulled up the thing and it was just like yellow lines.
Well, the problem is,
like, what?
by the time you mentioned it to me, it was probably already too late.
Yeah.
Because, like, those first handful of views get nothing but ads for 10 minutes and they're like, I'm done.
Yeah, I would
and
be
then
too.
when you have people checking out right away,
Yeah.
it's telling YouTube this sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then YouTube's going, no one wants this. It sucks.
Obviously.
Tricky,
Even though
tricky.
YouTube was the one that did it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. It's tricky because, like, if you do a short video, it's great. So, like, the reacts or like a vlog where it's like 15 minutes, 3 ads, not really a big deal. But for something like this,
Yeah, 30 is a little hefty.
well,
Trying to
because
sit through.
it says in the options, it finds appropriate times to put ads in.
Oh,
like
sure.
Between
Yeah,
spaces.
sure it does.
Yeah, great.
I don't know how.
It'd be one thing if the ad was 3 seconds long and disappeared. But no, it's like, I'm 3 seconds long if you get off your lazy ass and click on me. Otherwise, I'll play for as long as you'll let me play.
What's
So
those ones that are
ads
like an
make
hour
me
and a half?
Well, this is. I
Yeah.
was just going to bring this up. I was actually bridging off into that. Actually, there's more and more aggressively long ads on
Yeah,
YouTube.
it's crazy.
I'm seeing them all the time now, and I'm starting to think that it's because, like, because I thought maybe they think, oh, people will want to get YouTube Premium if we just keep these ads like longer and longer.
Yep.
But what I think it actually is how much time is YouTube playing idle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they figured this out. And I think it even maps each individual user how much time the user is idle. And they're like, okay, this user's idle a lot. We can play long ads and they don't even notice.
But who benefits from the long ad?
Well,
YouTube mostly.
I don't know
Why,
because
though?
hear me out. There's a lot of people who fall asleep with YouTube on.
Yes.
So
So they're aiming for the subconscious.
well,
Which, I mean,
subliminal messaging is big.
Yeah, that's
And
fair.
Marketing is all aiming for the subconscious. This
Yeah.
is just a more direct route.
So
Interesting.
like how much ad placement is there in things, right? And like say you're watching, we'll just say you're watching an episode of Friends and someone's eating Cheerios. You probably have, you might not notice, but like then later maybe you're thinking, oh, I have a bowl of Cheerios today. You know what I mean? Like it's just those little messages that sneak in.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what they're going for with those is like while people are sleeping or while people are screwing around in the other room, they've got these long ads playing and no one even notices.
Yeah.
And there's something sinking in.
Well, that's like that whole. Which one do you think is more effective? Is my question, because like when you see like a Transformers movie or whatever, and it's
Sure.
like it's obnoxiously obvious, but it's still within the thing. Like it's still technically subliminal messaging, even though it's basically like a Pepsi machine becomes a robot. But like, does that have more of an effect on you? Because like one of the things that I always think is like if you have a connection with somebody and they have that something interacting with them, I feel like you're more likely to have a bond with it.
It depends on what it is. So like if you like Remy and Remy is selling you black tattoo ink,
Sure.
right? There's a match.
Yeah.
Well, of course I'm going to buy that one, right? But if I'm trying to sell you a Barbie doll,
Yeah.
then it's like, fuck this guy. He just wants my money.
Yeah, it's got to resonate with
Right.
the theme of it.
So like you can't just sell whatever the fuck you want. It has to make sense.
That's like the Two Bears One Cave thing. Every 5 minutes they stop for this commercial break where they just like read you an advertisement for something that they're only using right now because they're on the podcast.
Sure.
And be like, I drink this, wink.
But
yeah, it doesn't fit. It doesn't make any sense.
it doesn't fit and it doesn't make any sense, but they're getting that ad money anyway.
Yeah,
Someone's paying them to do it.
But they're also famous and celebrity where they're totally down to be like, yep, I'm doing this for advertising money and you're my audience.
It doesn't necessarily matter that we all know that they don't really like it or care. Maybe they do like it, but maybe they're not like, They're just kind of like, yeah, it's all right.
I doubt they like it, but they can't complain about it.
All it does is gets eyes on the product.
Yeah.
Because whether or not they love it and they're all about it, they're talking about it, which gets us talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, here we
I've seen
are.
this terrible ad. Oh my God, it was brutal, but
Yeah.
it's still like, someone might be like, and then it spreads all over.
Yeah.
Right? Because you get a big podcast talking about product, even 5 minutes. How many other guys go off and talk about, this annoying ad that got read,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they mention what was in it?
Well, what was that thing that we were thinking in Joe Rogan that he's must be endorsed by them? or
Oh,
whatever?
there's so many things
the
now.
DuckDuckGo thing.
The
where it was just
DuckDuckGo.
Like, he mentions it so many
Like
times. It's
3
like
episodes in a row, he went on this rant about DuckDuckGo, how it doesn't monitor your search history. It
I've
doesn't
heard
check
this,
this,
yeah.
this, and this.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Da. Like, this sounds awfully
Well,
well
like an ad
I
read.
think
scripted, Mr.
money's on
Rogan.
the table for him now because
I think
like
a lot
once,
of money's
once
on
he
the
went to Spotify, it's like
Yeah.
all bets are off with Rogan. Like
Yeah.
he's taking money from whoever he can
Yeah.
now, and he needs to justify it. I think.
Well,
It's like I
and-
may as well make all the money now because
And
no
once
one,
you're
no
there,
one's-
why wouldn't you sell out a little frickin' bit?
well,
well, I mean, he was like he's been doing that kind of thing for a while.
Yeah.
But I just think it's like a little bit of another level now.
yeah, it is for
You know what I
sure.
mean? And I don't even know if it's that he cares about the money.
This is a far cry from MeUndies.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
you're
is
right.
a far cry from MeUndies.
But like that's always what I wonder with him. Like, does he have something in mind that he's trying to fund?
That's what I was saying. Like way back in November, we first talked about this. Was like, why does he need that money? He had enough money, and you both laughed at me. Whoever has enough money. It's like,
That's
but
how the
what
human
does he
mind works.
need to do though? He's got to be doing something with
But
it.
here's the problem. The male Homo sapien typically isn't their quest for money isn't a quest for currency. It's a quest for greater success, right?
Sure.
So no matter what, there's a little something inside of him that's always going, well, I mean, how far can this go?
My
how big
problem
can it
is
get? How big a price tag can I put on it?
He's like, I think in a way he's actually getting farther from success.
Yes, he
Like,
is.
now I will-
His show is terrible now.
Yeah, well,
there's
yeah.
been a couple good ones lately.
I think
It's
he
arguable,
jumped the
yeah.
shark, but like, I now will remember him as the man who brought awareness to podcasts.
Yeah.
Where before my thinking was he's the 800-pound gorilla in the arena of podcasts.
Right,
Right.
Yeah.
Like, he went from being the top dog, having great podcasts every day,
Yeah.
to, well, Rogan is responsible for a huge revolution in media.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, he monetized it.
But now it's like he's not the thing anymore, in my opinion.
No.
Well, I mean,
And he was for a long time.
the other thing is like he's got 3 years on this, right? So my guess is you see this stark drop off because it's this change. Everybody hates change, but then as soon as they get used to it, all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe he gravitates towards it again.
Well, the problem is there's no one else. Like, there's lots of little guys. Like,
Yeah.
there's lots of, like, not little guys, but, like, medium-sized guys. Mm-hmm. But, like, there's no other big name that's taken in all those
There's
people.
no other podcast on YouTube that does 30 million
Exactly.
views.
So it's not like you're going to go from Pepsi to Coke. You know what I mean? Like, you go from Pepsi to, like, some no-name brand.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. What we're really beating in the bush at explaining here is that he's Jopra.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has become Jopra.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, while we're talking about wacky celebrities, Donald Trump is doing the
His own-
podcast circuit.
Oh.
Well,
I thought
he's
you were gonna
not
s- I
doing
thought
his
you were gonna
own
say he
yet.
died.
But the theory is he will be doing his own, and he's just warming up. Like he's
Wait.
going to do the circuit.
Supposedly he's seeking funding for his own social media platform.
I've heard
too.
this.
I
yeah.
really need to see him on Rogan, though.
Well, I
That's what
think
really
if he's
want.
doing podcasts, he'll
He'd be
do
great
Rogan.
on Rogan.
He'll
Yeah.
do Rogan for sure. He'll do all the, like he'll do like I bet like Theo Vaughn. Like he'll probably do like Eric Weinstein.
Is
I
it
could
Theo
see.
Vaughn?
Yeah.
And Trump?
Well, he's going to do
I
the
think so.
circuit.
That's going to be
The
great.
circuit is whatever big podcasters will have it.
Yeah.
My God, I'll watch every one of those.
Yeah, me too. Because it's
Which
got to
is
be
terrible
fascinating.
because it's not news, right?
I don't care if
would-
it's news; it's entertainment.
I would love to tell
He's
myself
the
I'm going to
apprentice.
spend my time learning more things.
Well, people
But
are
instead, I'm
actually
gonna learn less things.
People
Well,
are
yeah.
actually very relieved at this news.
Yeah,
Because it's him going into more of an entertainment
yeah.
yeah.
rather than like more of a political thing. Mm-hmm. Because it's more likely that he does this and then gets his own like show where he can be
Yeah.
Trump.
Well, because that'll provide for his kids too.
And
like then Donald Trump Jr. can have his own spin-off and blah, blah,
he
blah.
can just like he can be that counterculture guy,
Yes.
like almost like feel like who was it that died recently? Rush
Limbaugh.
Yeah, he can be like kind of like that, but
An ex-president and counterculture shouldn't go in the same sentence.
well, he shouldn't. But
It's so bad.
Dude, he shouldn't have been president.
He should know.
he's a TV celebrity and real estate mogul.
So this is him returning to that sort of a role.
He's going back to his right lane. I really don't think he thought he would win. I think this whole thing has been
That's
weird.
worse, Kevin. That's worse.
Why?
Because playing the system for the number one seat shouldn't be a joke.
Well, okay, it shouldn't be, but at the same time...
Because Stephen Colbert tried to run independent, and they shut him down. Stephen Colbert would have done much better.
Why?
I don't know if he would have.
Have you listened to Colbert?
I've listened to whoever writes for Colbert for sure.
I think
touche.
the idea
Like,
of him.
What are we talking about here? That's like NBC's staff writing. That means you like NBC's narrative. That doesn't mean you like Stephen Colbert.
Yeah,
You
he
have
can't.
no
he
idea
can't.
who
He
Stephen
can't
Colbert
express.
is.
He can't express his own viewpoint.
That's the difficulty.
true.
It's the same thing with Donald Trump. Like Donald Trump was obnoxiously himself. The
Yeah.
only reason that he worked on The Apprentice was because he was so horrible. Like
Yeah,
he was
a loathsome human
yeah.
being.
He was the
loathsome-
gold towered douchebag that
a
everybody
giant
wanted him to be.
bulbous ogre
Yeah.
with no regard for anyone's.
And then everybody was like, "Yeah, no, but when he's president, boy howdy, he'll be presidential." Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
how is that going to happen?
Ugh.
Boy, he'll sure start carrying with that middle class once he's president.
Yeah.
Mr. Golden Tower himself, he sure cares about the average Joe working for 40 grand a year.
Yeah. Well, that's like, have you ever listened to Jon Stewart after he left The Daily Show?
I've heard a little bit.
Very
but
different
too
man,
much.
but very philanthropic. He's done a ton
Yeah.
for a ton of different organizations, but he's not his writers.
Yeah, fair.
No, he even his stand up before the Daily Show was like quite a bit drier and
Yeah.
darker.
Yep.
Like it wasn't as like he's screaming at you on a wacky pitch on the Daily Show, right?
No, he's way more grizzled than
Yeah.
than that.
Huh.
It's just like Seinfeld though too.
Yeah.
oh yeah, he's
Seinfeld,
much different.
Seinfeld hates everybody.
Yeah, he's
crazy.
Yeah, he's even more miserable every day.
Yeah,
like
I love it.
He's very very hateful towards other comics. Too.
Oh, yeah.
like he's got lots of little beefs with other comics.
My favorite thing is that he hates the fact that people do specials every year. Like he was in this like
well,
talk.
it's become it's commerce.
Sure,
too.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's like I said about content, right?
Yeah.
I got to make content. Trend.
But he was talking about doing one special and touring that for 10 to 15 years. And it was like, ugh.
Well,
Welcome to the 90s.
that's what he did.
I know. And he
So-
thinks that's the purest form of it because you basically get to refine it and give it its like greatest hits tour.
Well, in one way, he's not wrong.
No.
because like,
But in most other ways, he is wrong.
it's like Russell Peters with that one joke.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna get hurt real
Real bad.
Like
Yeah.
everybody just he would go.
They're
and
waiting
he
for
would
it.
try and do his new material, and people would be screaming, "Dude, someone's gonna get hurt real bad."
Yeah.
It's
Just like Bert and
okay,
the Machine
I'll just
story.
play the hits.
Yeah. Play the hits and get off the stage.
Which is just weird because wouldn't you want to hear something new?
no kidding.
I mean,
Is it
people's
like a
nostalgia,
comforting bedtime story?
people's nostalgia mechanism or wiring or whatever is pretty wild. when it
Ask us
comes to
again
that.
when we're 45.
Yeah, we
Something
might
we might be craving to hear
Oh,
the same
man, I
joke we
hope
hear when we're
not.
35.
Yeah, we'll just want to listen to Joe
Yeah.
Rogan 898.
What new stuff? Fuck that. Give me
exactly.
the classics.
Yeah, give me the classics.
This is
like-
what's wrong with society today. You want to throw everything out.
You're like, I want to hear the escalator joke from Brian Regan.
If it's not, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
doesn't have to be broken. Let's just get something new too. Like maybe even just 10 minutes old stuff and then some new stuff.
Or just intersperse it cleverly, but who knows?
But it's funny to me is like sometimes I'll find a person funny, but I won't like their stand-up.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that's
I-
Bert Kreischer for me.
I got to be honest
Yeah.
with you. I don't love Joe Rogan's stand-up. I
very
find
different.
I find him funny when he's talking to people, but I find his performance a little bit over the top, wacky, kind of bordering like Robin Williams territory, where it's like
Yeah, that's fair.
it's a little bit too anxious for me and like hyper.
Yelly?
It's just like, okay, we can calm down a little.
Yeah.
Like, how about just relax? You don't need to be Mitch Hedberg levels of relaxed.
Yeah,
But,
you don't need to be on heroin.
yeah, exactly. But like a little less energy.
Yeah.
You know, I like Bill Burr. Bill Burr's great.
Yeah, he does have that kind of nice ebb and flow of just yelling at you and then kind of
Yeah,
chill.
exactly. There's a transition period of slow and crazy, right?
Yeah.
Where with Rogan, it's just constant. I'm just
Energy.
Like,
Just like
it's
so much
okay, I
energy. What are we
understand.
doing here?
but it's not bad jokes.
No, they're good
no,
jokes.
Just
They're
the
well
The
crafted.
delivery is a little too amped up for me.
Yeah,
I think.
they just want that Fear Factor guy yelling at him.
But my thing is like I find more irony and like satire funny. Like I
Yeah.
find things like drier,
clever
wit.
funny?
Yeah, clever stuff.
Yep.
Rather than like wacky faces and like jittery motions and stuff. I know there's a place for that.
Oh yeah,
Look at Kramer on Seinfeld. All he was ever doing was
I wouldn't
busting
use
through
him as an
doors.
example
But
on
but
this
no,
one.
obviously his
his stand-up hit a little bit of a speed bump.
yeah. Well, that's different. That I mean, his form of humor on that show
I'm
was,
with you, yeah.
was like really like
Wait,
physical.
what happened to
humor.
Kramer? I don't remember.
You don't
anymore.
remember,
don't
what
remember
happened?
Michael Richards?
Oh
I
God, we
remember
can't even
things.
get into
Oh,
that.
dude. Yeah, we can't even talk about
He
it.
was probably the first big celebrity. Well, not big, but like one of the first celebrity scandals that got canceled.
Yeah,
Oh,
he would
fair.
be a
Over a
cancel
decade.
culture technically, but I feel like it was justified. That
Oh, it
was
was
just
justified.
That was just stupid.
Just some scuzzbag stuff.
Well-
he started saying the N word to a guy on stage that was
Yeah.
heckling him.
He was heckling
It
him
was
for
so
quite a while, and I
crazy,
guess
man.
he
Like-
tried to downplay it at first, but it kept
Yeah.
going. But that being said, like to give credit to the heckler, his stand-up was god awful.
Yeah, of course.
Like anyone who's heard him is like, yeah, he shouldn't be on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And like people who knew him felt bad for him because they knew he sucked,
Yeah.
and they were like trying to tell him not to do it. I guess.
I just think there's people that are supposed to do stand up and there's people that are supposed to do comedy in other avenues.
Yeah,
Just because you're
exactly.
in the comedy field doesn't mean you have to do that.
You can be funny and not be a good stand-up.
Yeah, like Seth Meyers should not have a stand up special.
Yeah. Not
He's
everybody.
not good at it.
I just think it's like a potential earning, right? Like
That's
this is
it.
where it's like I could make some
Diversification.
money, right? And yeah, diversification. But it's like me, like I can do pretty well on Instagram, but why do I have to be on YouTube? Maybe I suck. Maybe no one wants to listen to what I think. They just want to look at my tattoos,
That's
right?
fair.
Well, look at the size difference.
Yeah, that's vastly different.
But I still want to diversify.
Yep.
Like I still want to be part of more than one medium.
Well, I mean, I get that, but at the same time, like, there is something to if you can, like, the jack of all trades, master of none thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you are a master in a field, to try and spread yourself thinner, to do something that you're less.
Dude, I've got a. Well, you know Josh. I've got a buddy starting. He had a landscaping and stone removal company in Lethbridge. He's moved to the Pass, and now he's kind of branching out more into handyman things. He's got this like. He's hiring some people doing some subcontracting for Busy Bee. He's got all these things going around. I'm like, how do I explain to this guy? You don't want to be out there charging $40 an hour for 90 things. You want to be charging $100 an hour for one thing.
Well, this is the
like your
problem.
life is
It's
going
like,
to get so much better.
He's doing $40 an hour, different things. Maybe he's there longer versus some of the things he's there less time, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's
Is
just
if
not
you're doing
efficient.
if you're doing one thing, you can charge $100 an hour because
But-
I come with every individual tool, task, and skill to do all of the things pertaining to this.
What's crazy
and then
to
I'm out.
me is some of the specializations there are.
Yes.
Like furnace repairman.
Yeah.
What do you do for a living? I'm a furnace guy. That's all you do. That's all I do. I service furnaces. It's like, man, what a crazy way to make your living.
Well,
I know all there is to know about your furnace.
That's funny. I've done that.
Oh,
Like
Of course you have.
of course
fair
you've done
point.
it.
You have, yes.
Who
Yes.
is surprised?
Not one of us is shocked at
Like
this.
never as my only gig, but like up in Fort McMurray, the portables each have a furnace for each room because they're all like clicked
What
together,
I love
right?
is that even you were giggling when you were saying it. Holy shit, I've done this too.
I've repaired a lot of furnaces.
Oh my God.
Well, is it complicated compared to other things?
I mean, yes and no. That here's the beauty is in a building like this size and smaller. Like this building's actually fairly large. There's probably like 4 different units up on the roof. Anything that size and smaller is all kind of the same thing. There's a few different varieties, and then when you get to like house furnaces, they're all pretty much the frickin' same. Like there's different models and sizes and efficiencies,
Yeah.
but they all have the same essential components.
Well, I would imagine they have to be similar.
Yeah,
right?
and they have to run fairly simple because you can't have a furnace with complicated breakdowns all the time because that's how you go completely out of business because no one buys that furnace ever again because it was complicated and broke down all the time.
A big bug of mine is like, we're always like telling people to follow their dreams and like do what you want and all this shit. Who has ever said, when I grow up, I want to service furnaces?
It's actually fun as balls.
It's not even that it's not fun or that it's not a good job or anything. It's just, that's not even in the land. Like, you don't even think about that.
It's like too much. I think we should, I don't know if we should ever talk about jobs as specificity. Like, I think, like, if you're going to talk to a kid about, like, what do you want to do with your life? I think telling them to say, oh, I want to be an astronaut, that's not true.
Yeah.
Like, you want to do something that astronaut could fill the void of, right? Like, you have a passion in a direction. Just like the heating repair guy, he might have a passion for mechanics.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
Repair.
He likes fire and wires.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, there's a satisfaction from that feeling of taking apart and putting back together.
I'll give you an
and fixing.
example. I love fixing things.
Yeah,
I
you
get
do.
I get a little dopamine rush.
I know.
When I fix something.
There'll be stuff fixed around here where I'm like, oh, what?
Yeah, I'm all about it. I feel good about it. I'm super into it, and I've found different avenues of work where I can go fix things and make them better, and I freaking love it. And now I fix people's skin.
Yeah, you do. And that's where like I don't think that, like, a buddy of mine's changing careers right now, and I was just talking to him about it, and I'm just like, well, the only thing I could say is, because I was going to ask, like, what do you want to do? But for me, it's like, what are you passionate about, and what field can you put that passion into?
Yeah, what can your skill set do for you to put bread on the table?
Yeah.
But a lot of people are passionate about making a modest living to just go live their freaking life.
That's more what I think people like.
Yeah.
People shouldn't care so much what they end up doing for work all the time, as long as it's making decent money, unless it's killing you.
Man, I don't know about that. I don't know about that at all. 40 hours a week of your life?
More.
It's pretty important.
Or more.
Like, you gotta be around the people of whatever the thing is that you're doing.
Let's stretch this out some more, though. Let's imagine, like, no one says, I want to be the guy that drives the street sweeper, right? No one says that. But I'm sure there's some people who drive street sweepers who have a great time.
Yep.
Sounds like a pretty cozy job to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, one of the
some
clients
people
here was a
are
garbage
looking
man,
for cozy.
and he's stoked on it.
Yeah, some people
He
are looking.
loves it.
Some people are looking for. Oh yeah, I'm like, especially a city
Well,
job like a street sweeper or a garbage man.
You say garbage man, it sounds like he's just rifling through shit all day. But that's not really the case.
Well, not now, especially.
And
Yeah, he just
Got the
drives
little
up and
you
thing
don't
that's
really
the thing
understand, like, from a title, everything that goes into it and how it interacts with your brain.
Well,
Like,
and garbage man isn't just like, oh, I'm on a truck all day. Garbage man is like, oh yeah, no, I drive 10 minutes to work. I see all my work buddies. We drink coffee in the morning. We do our morning paperwork. We do our time cards. Then I go get my truck started and warmed up, and then I drive out to here. I do my route. I check my map, and I check the streets off, and.
Well, what's
and then I come
lost?
back and see my friends again and drink more coffee, and.
What's lost in the job title is the culture that surrounds it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a culture for every job.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like, you go to a place where people have been doing that job for a while, and they have, like, there's like a real flow there that you don't understand until you've been in it a while. Like, for me, when I meet another cook that's been cooking for around as long as me, there's even a way that you walk.
Oh, of course.
There's a phraseology.
Yeah.
There's like a whole thing to it where it's like, oh, you've been on the line before, right? You can almost smell it on them.
So we can rephrase this question some. We can ask, what are you passionate about? It depends what the hearer is hearing. Because the listener to that question might say, oh, I'm passionate about camping and collecting stamps and building birdhouses. So therefore, when it comes to my employment, I'm looking for something stable that doesn't stress me out, doesn't have homework, so that I can go to work, have a chill time, and come back and do those things.
See, I've been in an environment for my entire life, basically, that's all about the fight and trying to make it through the day. And it's just aggressive all the time. It's almost like a kill or be killed survival instinct, where it's like you're running out of shit. It's never ending busy.
Yep.
It's hot. It's filthy. It's,
You're in the trenches.
You're in the trenches all the time.
I talked to my parents, my brother last night, and he is finally getting out of the industry. He's been cooking for 15 years now, and he's finally like, hey, yeah, this is my last cooking job. My next job, I'm doing something different.
Yeah, how's that going? Good?
Oh, he just decided that recently.
Is he fed up with the whole thing? Or
Oh yeah,
like,
completely, big time.
burnout is really high, especially
Yeah.
these days. There used to be a lot of money in this. When I started, when I started working, I was making like $6.90 or something
Yeah.
there. I ended up getting up to like $13.80 by the time minimum wage was still like $7.50.
Nice.
So I was almost making double minimum wage at one point. Now, not the case,
Yeah, I know.
obviously, right? So, like, what's happened is you used to have 30 to 40-year-old guys filling most of the roles, and they knew a lot, and they'd been around a long time. And now what we're getting is, like, 18, 16, 22-year-old guys with
those
no
35-year-old
skills.
guys can go make $25 an hour anywhere.
Exactly.
And
Well,
they can't
a lot
make
of
it in
them
the
went to
industry
the
they have
rigs.
skills in.
A lot of the
right,
old,
fair.
a lot of the old cooks left.
Yeah.
And they're not coming back because there's no money there anymore.
Yeah.
We
There's no
used
money.
to
There's
have-
no money in rigs either, but they'll have gained skills to transfer to something else.
Well, we used to have guys that would be plumbers and cooks. Like
Yeah.
they would do both kind of thing. Because it was like making good money doing both of these things. And they're both good skills to have. I knew a guy who once told me, only two things people have to do always is eat and shit.
Yeah.
So get good at cooking and get good at plumbing.
Or you get a
right?
funeral home.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are
That's
your
another one.
options.
Death's
Yeah.
never gone out of style. But like, yeah, it was almost like a trade at one point where it was like you could tell a guy who knew how to cook versus someone
Yeah.
who just walked on, right? And now there's almost none of that left, and the few people that are around, everything is on them, and so the burnout is like crazy high.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's also where I think that whole industry is going to be shifting. Like,
Yeah,
I think,
it's got to be.
because like I don't foresee the.
Automation is going to destroy, I think.
I don't even know about automation. I think you're going to have dividing into a couple of different sectors. I think you're going to have the people that want the mass produced quick and cheap, and then you're going to have the people that start caring about the rest of it and are willing to pay a little bit more and have everything kind of like they're going to care about certain things within it.
Well, right
And I
now
think that middle ground is going to go away.
we're surviving really well because we're at a price point where it's like, yeah, it's better than McDonald's, but it's
Yeah.
not the keg.
Yeah.
Right? And the keg is too expensive for people.
That said, the keg got cheap.
Well, they
Yeah,
have
of
to.
course. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Now.
I went there with Rowan on like a Sunday morning a couple weeks back. And I've never been to the keg in Lethbridge. I've been to the keg in Fort McMurray, and there it's like, oh yeah, $45-$50 a plate.
Yeah, that's
And
what,
then here, I looked at the menu. I'm like, this is hilarious.
Well, they
I bet
probably-
it's the same prices as where you're working.
they probably start
I doubt that.
ordering.
They got real cheap, man.
How cheap? What
They
did
were
you
doing
order?
like $16 for a big breakfast.
Yeah, see,
Oh, for their breakfast, yeah.
they
for sure.
probably start ordering like, because we can order the same stuff as them.
Yeah, of course.
Because like it's GFS, you can get
Yeah,
whatever
you
the
can
hell
get
you
whatever you
want. They bring to everyone.
But that's
Yeah.
so. This is what I'm meaning. It's like you get the GFS restaurant,
Yeah,
and you get the people that are getting from farms.
Oh yeah, farm
And,
fresh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, oh no, we grow our own
Yeah.
herbs here.
Yeah,
Like,
there aren't really
herbs.
any of those in Lethbridge.
Yeah, there are.
Where?
Mocha Cabana,
Oh well, kinda.
Stella's.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just.
But I
that,
think
like
I can
if
foresee
you're
a little
going for,
bit
like,
more of that.
If you're going for like a 4-star, 5-star type thing.
No, I'm not talking that. I'm talking about like your $20 meal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you got your $12 to $16 meal and you got your $20 to $25 meal.
Yeah.
And I'm saying
12
that,
is
like,
almost gone.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
We're
right.
getting Big Macs for that now.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like that's
That's
Well,
$15 minimum wage.
But
Well,
you-
is
you
it?
see-
Because when I was making $5 an hour, the minimum wage was $5 an hour.
Yeah.
And you had 99-cent burgers.
Well, but
Yeah,
a
you
meal
did.
but a meal at a restaurant was still $10.
Yeah, I know.
And now
And
minimum
food
wage
costs
is-
have gone down,
Now
which
minimum
is
wage
ironic.
is 15, so a meal should be $30 at a
yeah,
restaurant.
our
you know?
food costs is like
Like,
because
I-
people think that we're just like taking this money and we're just bathing in it. Like, oh, it's $16 for plate of chicken.
Yep.
Like, what?
No, and
It's like,
that's
yeah.
inflation, buddy.
Well, yeah, that's not us. That's every other place, too.
That's
Yeah.
okay. So this is. I don't want to get all political,
But it's also wages.
but this is one of the things that, like, because I was in this position of I was managing a bunch of people that.
Oh,
lived
yes, I know
through
where
that,
you're going.
Lived through that salary increase thing, and like we were a company that I was starting people off at $15, and everybody's between 15 and kind of like 18, 19, maybe you get into 20 if you're a really high performer, that kind of thing. And this wage increase started happening, and immediately all the guys were like, "Great, my wage is going up."
Yeah.
And I said, "Who makes below 15?" And they're like,
that's
"Well, that
the
doesn't
problem.
matter. Minimum wage is going up." I said, "Yeah, minimum.
Yeah.
None of you guys are minimum. What are you talking about?" And they couldn't understand that it wasn't just like, and like this free money mentality. And I was like, I had to try and explain to them. And I was just like, so all this stuff that's around you right now, add on 1.5 times, 1.5x easily, if not 2x to whatever the price is. And sure as shit, that's exactly what's happened.
Really?
Things that you'd go in there and you'd buy it for $20, they're 40 now.
Yeah.
Things that used to be $500 are $1,000.
So this played.
You're going to
in
get it, but you're not just going to give up the money.
No.
Like, no business is just going to go, you know what? Take my money. I don't
Well,
need
especially
it.
in
Yeah.
retail. Retail's only got a like after retail pays all its overhead, they're only making 10%.
Oh, my
profit.
goodness.
No, we were making 1.
At
Oh, yeah, exactly.
At
We were
making
work,
1%
like,
profit.
they're lucky if they make anything.
Yeah.
Like, they've been dipping into their own pockets for the last year.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, yeah. Jeez.
Because there's after food cost and labor, because almost everything you're selling, you're buying, right?
course,
like
yeah.
it's not like you're, like the markup. It can only be so much.
Oh yeah.
And I remember with Long McQuaid, too, it was like they were selling at a deficit and making up the loss of the deficit with renting.
Wow.
So they had rental business that they had
insane.
calculated out to cover the loss of the, because we were selling at a really like aggressive margin. We were the guaranteed lowest price, right? So when you're dealing with an Amazon and all that stuff,
Well,
it's like,
I was about to say this is the stuff that has Jeff Bezos hard as a rock.
yeah, I know.
Like he's like, oh, his labor's so high you can't keep a brick and mortar store. Oh, keep talking. Oh yeah.
And the weird thing is like he's trying to sell those things at a loss because his servers are making all the money.
Yeah.
They're
yeah.
making too much money, so they don't want to pay tax. So
Yeah.
they're going to run Amazon cheaper than they're
Yeah.
going to sell it below cost.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden they don't have to pay tax.
Yeah.
It's a wild way to run a business, but that's like
It's a
when I
wild
saw
way to
that-
gain market cap.
Yeah, but I saw that with Long McQuaid, and it was like, oh,
Or
you
sorry,
guys are-
market share. There
yeah.
we go.
But that's the thing that set them apart. If they didn't do rentals, they couldn't be a business,
Yeah.
and that was flat out. And it was one of those things that like you looked at another similar store in the States, Guitar Center, who did no rental business.
Mm-hmm.
And their prices always had to be 5-10% higher.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
to cover that rental
Yeah.
fee, right?
But all of a sudden, you could have a rental program and then lower your prices, and then
Well, that
you win
gets
at
people in the
both
door.
ends, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
How
Gets
much
people in the door.
rental versus buy did you have?
I mean, it's for large ticket items usually, right? So if you're going to do PA systems and things like that, very few people are going to come in and go, "Hey, here's $20,000.
Yeah, here's 20 grand.
I'd like this PA system."
Well, how many people buy a car cash?
Yeah.
Right. It almost never happens.
And not to mention, like, you could rent to fit your situation. So if you didn't need as big of a system or whatever. Otherwise, if you're like a sound company, you'd have to have that whole fleet. Whereas, so a lot of it was that type of thing, and then school rentals for kids.
I feel like you're going to get more rentals on things the minute you get it outside of a year's worth of investment.
Mm-hmm.
So like you won't get it if say it's going to cost you $2,000 or $99 a month,
Mm-hmm.
right? You'll never think, well, I'll pay that $2,000 now and I'll win in the long run.
Yeah.
Because $99 is just such an easier thing to swallow
Oh,
than
yeah.
$2,000.
Well, you'd see those $2,000 speakers, and you look at their rental revenue during their life, and you'd be like, "Oh, this one speaker's made us $10,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of
Like,
course.
This is quintupled its value, and then I'm gonna sell it."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still
Like,
worth $400.
yeah,
5 years
exactly.
Later.
The
It's
cherry on the
crazy.
top at the end is
Yeah.
the sale.
Yeah, it was nuts. You'd
These
look at
things
some
are
things that would be like,
workhorses.
"Oh, this has been rented for the last 10 years and made 9 times its value. Maybe we should get rid of it, replace it with another one so it can make 9 times its value." It's
That's
crazy,
where
man.
your merchandise is more profitable than your staff.
Yes.
At that point.
Basically, yes.
If
Your staff
I'm
is
looking
there
at
to
this
facilitate
speaker
it.
system and this guy, you need to go.
Well, the staff is literally just there to facilitate
Yeah.
it. If they had like some sort of automated pickup system or something, it'd be
It's done.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah. But
That
you need
comes out in a
that.
big
That,
box. on a
this is
conveyor
where I
belt.
think we're not ready for what's going to happen. And I always say this now, but like the only thing holding us back from total automation of so many jobs is ethics. And like a total like lack of direction of like,
Also-
what are we going to do?
automation
Well,
is
what the hell are we going to do with all these people that can be replaced by a pickup machine?
so
Yeah.
so we as we as lay people quite often get ahead of ourselves thinking what robots can do. Now don't get me wrong, if you have an economy
right.
if
You're
you
right about
have
that.
if you have an economy of China, you can retool some factories and make some serious robotic setup. But here in Canada, like our labor is so high that building and installing robots is pretty prohibitive. So like for example, I worked on some robots at Frito-Lay that folded boxes, right? These all these do is they pull in a flattened box.
Robot repairman.
Yeah, oh yeah, actually I did a lot. at
Robot
Frito-Lay.
repairman at a chip plant.
So it pulls in a box, folds it up, folds the bottom in, and sets it on the conveyor belt in the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 2 stories high and 8 feet around.
Okay, but I'll give you this. Maybe we're not ready now.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll give you this then. 50
I
years
was about
from
to
now-
explain the mix pack robots. They're way bigger and do something that seems way simpler.
So they're giant, clunky obstructions.
Yeah,
Take up way too much room.
And there's no arms doing
They're
stuff. It's all
horribly
like,
inefficient.
well, there's some suction cups that pull some things here.
I've
and then
met people
naturally.
that are as exactly as how you're explaining these robots.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, these robots.
I have worked with people that are as efficient as those robots.
These robots each replace 2 people. Like the
Yeah.
box ones, that's only like 1 person per robot probably, but the one that
So-
takes 8 barbecue and 8 Dorito and 8 regular and puts in a box, that replaced like a whole row of people.
You're right. So my thing is, okay, so maybe they're not perfect yet.
Yeah.
But like in 50 years, maybe they
Oh,
are.
50 years, we'll all be dead, man.
Okay, barring that, which I'm not even going to disagree with.
And I
you.
don't mean from natural causes.
I'm not necessarily even going to disagree with you, but I'm saying, say we're here 50 years from now, and we have no more arguments like this. You can't even say, oh, well, lay people think that robots can do this and that. No, now they're living amongst us and doing our jobs 10 times speed.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So, theoretically, if we're there now, what the hell do we do with all these people? I always get
China-
to the, like, where are we
China
going
knows
to
what
put
to
these
do.
people? Where are they going to go?
Well, China thinks it's internment camps, so let's
there
not
won't
go
be a need
their
for.
route.
You won't have to keep people alive once there's no human rights to worry about.
Yeah. Like I'm a little less. Well, I'm the optimist in this room, so. So this is what I would think. So say let's talk drivers. That's the main thing that everybody's going to be.
Oh,
like.
that'll be gone in the next like.
Yeah, that's always the one. We're going
But
to
it's
teach
gonna
them
be-
the code.
occupations.
But it's going to be a slow. It's going to be a slow death, right?
Nah.
Yeah, because
I
what
think
they're
like
going to
8
do is they're
years.
going to have driverless assisted drivers.
Yep.
Which will allow for supervised, and we'll need time to kind of get used to that in society. And then all of a sudden, you're going to have the same thing for Ubers and like your trucks and things like,
Oh,
like
yeah,
your
yeah,
in-town
transport.
trucks and things like that. And it's all the stuff that it's just like you need a human presence to make sure something doesn't go wrong. And then all of a sudden it's going to be like, well, the stats are in. This is how much we have to use these people, blah, 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 blah. And we can let it go in these areas. And it's going to slowly start axing jobs in those areas. But hopefully, like, this is one thing that, like, frustrates me about us as humans is we kind of think that, oh, this is just going to keep going. Like when I watched that whole Napster thing, and like the music industry had a distinct opportunity to go digital, and they could not see that as a possibility. Just like Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix, and they could not see that as a possibility. That this business is coming at our heels. Everything that we're doing right now is going to be just fine. I don't understand why we as humans can't see that and start
Because
putting into effect
we can only
change.
really change so much.
But
right?
I'm saying individually. So if I'm a truck driver right now, okay, and I go,
You should be retooling your career.
Yeah, I think that would what I would be telling you is to start looking into other things.
Yes.
Yeah.
well, and that's kind of why I got out of the industry that I was in,
Yeah.
because I see it happening. I was just talking about with one of our other staff. It's like that whole industry is changing a lot. It doesn't take a salesman anymore. I liked it because I like helping people find the right thing, but people find the right thing themselves. They go on Instagram, they find reviews, they trust this guy over that guy, and they see this great thing and they order it. It's not about the whole like customer to staff interaction that like you can address their needs.
No one even
and
wants
all
that
that
anymore.
stuff.
No, I don't want it.
Yeah,
You want it.
No,
You said you wanted by appointment shopping. You go in, someone helps you find your jeans.
no. Someone rings me through. I don't need any help from anybody. Help find jeans. I got my
I don't
jeans.
want when they come towards you. I know they
yeah,
have
same.
to.
I'm like, just don't.
I get that it's their job, but like, please leave
But it's
me
not
alone.
their job. Now, if we were looking forward, that's not their job anymore.
Yeah.
That's not it. Like if you have inquiry, you could press a button and someone could arrive, or there
Good.
could be some
So,
sort of Siri
Stay
app.
away from me.
So
Otherwise,
I've intentionally changed how I deal with that situation.
Uh-oh.
You know when a store clerk is walking up to you and you're like, oh fuck.
Take out your phone.
No, now I try to think of a question. Now I'm like, wait, what's the next thing? Is there something here I don't know where it is? Like even if you're Canadian Tire, you're like, the next place I gotta go is, I don't know where to find that one kind of thing. Hey, where's the thing? They're like, it's over there. Thanks. Bye. And then you're good. You've been helped.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one way.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that.
I
like,
just say I'm
Well,
good.
it
thanks.
actually makes me more efficient too. So I've actually started using the service they're offering in an efficient way that doesn't open a 4-minute dialogue that I don't want.
So how many people get their groceries picked for them?
I think a lot of people, more and more, like by delivery groceries went up
I bet
a
it's
lot. I
still
see
like
those
2%.
Walmart trucks
So-
out all the time.
How long do you think we will need stores?
Well, this is where I'm always saying, like, I see it at work. All the servers that we have on, and most of them are just standing around now
Yes.
because a lot of people aren't coming in. They're getting skipped a dish.
Right.
And it's like we're just not realizing, like, hey, we don't need all this labor.
And even going into, like, say you could go, oh, that's labor. I'll go in to skip the dishes. Except for when all of a sudden Skip the Dishes launches their new fleet of electric vehicles
Yeah,
that are all automated, that you go
they
out
won't
and you
have the
load your
problems,
dinner in.
because a lot of the problems now are the drivers who skip the dish, so they have
course.
to figure that out.
Yep.
So there goes all the skip the dish.
Same with Amazon
drivers.
deliveries. Half the people that are stealing the Amazon deliveries are the delivery drivers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's crazy.
Well, there's some crazy rule built into Skip where if you've gone to 2 different places or something and the food hasn't been delivered to the right owner, then you can eat it. It's a Skip driver was telling us this at work. There's some crazy rule where
So if you
there's
just need lunch.
There's a certain amount of problems that can happen before the food is just not accounted for. You can just eat it or something.
That's ridiculous.
So it just incentivizes like terrible practices.
yeah.
God.
And we'll have to eliminate all those things.
Well, and that
'Cause that's
happens
how it
at
works.
work. Like you'll see, like a cook will put down too many fries or something. Now he's chewing on fries. And a robot wouldn't care to eat those fries.
No.
Robot doesn't need those fries.
Yeah.
Has no interest in those fries. You know, there's no risk of at work theft with a robot.
No, there's none. They don't care.
So like
But this is what I'm saying. Like,
human error isn't going to last much longer. I don't think.
this type of now I would like to think you could take that kind of energy and look at it and go like, okay, well, I'm going to do something about it. Because like, but I don't see people gravitating towards that.
What kind of energy?
Well, this type of, you can see things happening, right?
Yeah.
We are big at recognizing patterns. That's like our
But it's also
DNA.
easy to be very wrong. You know, it's like, this is like saying, well, the Blockbuster could have had a chance to buy in Netflix. Yeah, Blockbuster also had an opportunity to buy into a lot of stuff back then, right? So how do you choose right now? If you're like, I'm going to go in the stock market and I'm going to buy the right stock and it's going to gain 10,000% over the next 8 years because it's the next Netflix.
Well, we'd still have Blockbuster if it wasn't for Time Warner.
Yeah.
Time Warner saddled Blockbuster down
Well,
with billions of dollars of debt.
I'm focusing more on...
I think Blockbuster would be Netflix still.
Yeah, and they
focusing
were,
more
they
on
were
its-
launching that.
It's
And
easy
then
to look at the
2008
future
happened.
and make some guesses. Which guesses are right? Which how do you know?
So, but here's
Because here's the thing: is maybe all this driverless vehicle stuff, maybe truck drivers won't be out of a job because we live in Canada and the roads are snowy, and it might be 10 years before we have trucks that are driverless in the winter.
So
but you're
10
still
years
saying
isn't much.
you're talking in inevitabilities,
yes.
right? And so your guess, you can't be specific as to which one works where when.
That's right.
Like Netflix started out stupid,
Yeah.
mailing you DVDs. What are we talking about? But
There are still programs like that.
oh yeah, Redbox.
It's like, are you kidding me?
Who has a DVD
fucking
player?
and especially with how terrible the mail is.
Yeah.
Who's doing this?
I have no idea.
There's got to be like
Well,
10 people keeping this going.
The mail is going to be another thing.
Oh, yeah. Mail
Like,
is
that's going
god
away.
awful. I've got
What?
like 10 packages coming for like months.
Yeah.
And it's like, where are they? Are they here? Like, have they been stolen?
I've
there's
had
too
none
much
of this.
error here.
I've had my mail has been so flawless this whole time. I've sent something to Greece that should
Oh,
be
you're-
back like this week.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it should be back this week.
Yeah.
My mail has never been worse. Like it's every year it seems to get worse, and this year I'm just not getting anything.
But what I'm saying is there's certain things that you have to deliver by mail, so I understand that. But
Yeah.
the demand on the postman is getting less and less because we can do everything digitally now. Like I just signed for a house and I didn't sign any papers.
Of course not.
I clicked a button.
You don't sign anything anymore. Nope. Nobody will even let you near them to sign anything
No.
anymore. We're not allowed to sign. Like we used to have to check off the orders at work,
Yeah.
and you're not allowed to give a signature anymore because
Really?
no one trusts anyone anymore. You might have COVID.
The
right?
other thing is like young kids don't know how to write a signature
Oh no, no, that's done.
because they don't teach them anymore.
No, handwritten is done.
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
You like I watch 18-year-old kids fill out forms in here and you're like, "What is wrong with you?"
Well, it may never be useful to them, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Like it may not be useful ever. Because
Well,
like,
yeah, I mean it's probably not.
especially now, like about over this last year, no one's writing signatures at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like not even like, not they're not writing nice signatures. No, they're not even being asked.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, what's your name? Okay, bye. Because you don't want anyone near you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Deliveries and all this shit.
Well, even the fact that we use paper forms, I think, is nuts.
Well, yeah, I think that's gonna go too.
Well, whenever the healthcare system comes around with it,
But
'Cause
like,
that's their big thing.
But what do you do next? Like for here, what do you have a digital?
Yeah.
Like you
Have it
just
on an
direct
iPad.
them. You direct them to
Or you send it to them ahead of time and they fill it out.
and then they just type it in.
Yep.
So I think that's what it's going to.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Like everything's going to kind of move in that direction, but like,
Oh, and
so
you
these
get
are
your
those-
aftercare mailed to you,
Yeah.
like your email or text.
Well, even like, I mean, I don't know anything for certain, but now looking at like digital currency, I think that's probably the way it'll go too.
So digital currency is a fun one.
I love fun.
We need to stop buying Bitcoin.
Why?
So Bitcoin
You were just
currently-
telling me to start buying.
Oh, you should
Bitcoin.
start buying Bitcoin for sure.
Buying-
I don't know what the fuck he's talking
buying
about.
Bitcoin.
So we got
is
another.
literally
Should we go to Mars topic?
buying Bitcoin is literally right now just giving China more GDP
Why?
because they make it.
No, they don't.
What are you talking about?
China doesn't make Bitcoin. What are you talking about?
Well, you were telling me there's only so much Bitcoin.
You know
Do you
who has the most Bitcoin?
Do you
The
know-
FBI.
Do you know how blockchain works?
Yes.
Okay, so China makes Bitcoin.
Blockchain confuses the fuck out of me.
So China makes the Bitcoin. They get all the new Bitcoin.
No.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
They're all the mining. They do all the mining.
Mining
That's how you make Bitcoin.
Okay, look in terms of the mass amount of mining that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
China has some, but it's nowhere near what everybody else has. The U.S. is the single largest holder.
Holder, yes.
Yeah.
That's
So-
different from making it.
Making it, it's a finite
So
resource.
then, next step. You make one transaction in Bitcoin. You just increase your carbon footprint.
yeah,
Like
of course.
it's literally a currency that to make a transaction uses kilowatts.
yeah.
Yeah.
So does
that's
the internet.
crazy.
So does the people watching YouTube at home. That's
Yes.
Same.
But this is not same. This
Yeah.
is dramatically more.
Do you think it's more or less than oil?
Less.
Okay, we have the oil dollar right now.
But well, I think what Scott is saying is
That's
we don't
not how
need
that
to
works.
do any.
Petrodollar,
I think
yeah,
what
for
Scott
sure.
is saying
Okay.
is
the
we
American
don't
economy
need
is
to
entirely
add
based
to
on
it.
But
it.
if
And
you-
it's based on the U.S. dollar is
For
our
you
main
to give me
world currency.
for you to give me $10,
Yeah.
and for me to give you the rock I'm selling you for $10, does not change our carbon footprint.
So the argument is that
for this person to give me $10,
us trading bills doesn't have the carbon footprint.
80,000 processors are all racing to decrypt that transaction faster and build the next block.
Yes.
Only the first person to build that next block gets the piece of Bitcoin for building that block.
Not necessarily, unless they're in a group.
They're all working in groups. These are warehouses of NVIDIA graphics cards we're talking about right now. These are warehouses full of processors, all just racing against that other building full of processors, trying to be the first to decrypt that block, right? So what I'm saying is that per transaction, there is a massive carbon footprint.
Sure, but the only thing that I would argue against in this is, like, if we're talking in terms of the way people think and the things that come with that, if you're thinking that digital people would not switch over to more efficient ways of getting energy faster, you're out of your mind.
No, this is all being done in China on coal. They're using coal power.
Yeah, but who is one of the leading, who has one of the first fusion machines that's going to be turned on?
Okay, so China. let's get rid of Bitcoin. Let's be totally theoretical.
Yeah,
because there's a problem here with this.
Okay, fair. Yeah,
with the green energy part of it.
That's right.
Right. Digital currency is the way ahead. That's what we need to say. Because, like, we're dealing more and more online. We're buying more and more online.
But we're already using digital currency in credit cards and online banking.
So then, but the problem with that is the conversion rates between countries and stuff.
That's actually have you looked into the euro at all?
In what way?
Europe is a great example of a large landmass of varying nations that's tried to switch to the same currency.
And it's hurting a lot.
Fucked, dude.
Yeah, I always find it weird when you'll go to buy and it's a pound and then it's a euro and you're like, why can't it just be the euro?
Oh,
but
I
understand why. But what I'm getting at is, like, the conversion rate of my dollar always irritates the fuck out of me. I wish I could just have the amount and buy the thing.
Why is that the case, though? Because right now, the global currency, global banking, is measured in U.S. dollars.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
What Bitcoin is vying for is to replace that stability currency, the thing that everything's getting measured against, to this digital currency. The thing that you're talking about is instability within different currencies, but it's only instability differing to the U.S. dollar, because that's how they can compete globally in trade. So the other thing is that what affects that is, as the U.S. currency fluctuates, that affects everybody else's dollars too.
It does.
Whereas if you go to something like a Bitcoin that has finite resource, because, like, one of the things that ended up happening with this most recent thing that they passed is they printed a lot of money. That's going to negatively affect the U.S. dollar. That's going to change everybody else's currency. Whereas if you have something like a Bitcoin that has 21 million possible...
stable.
Well, technically, the theory is that it's stable. Right now, it's incredibly unstable.
So if the U.S. prints more money and has increased inflation over that period, because that's essentially what happens. When you increase the amount of money available, inflation goes up. So suppose the American dollar has 4.5% inflation instead of 3 next year, right? They've printed another $1 trillion. Here we go. We have higher than normal inflation. So no one else's currency changes. What happens is they actually get better buying value in the U.S.
Yes.
So
because
what's happened?
U.S. value has gone down.
Yeah, their currency is now, instead of being worth 900 rupiah per dollar, it's now worth 975 rupiah per dollar. So their money didn't get devalued. It actually got an increase in value in a couple of ways.
So that's a minor way of looking at it.
Yeah.
But if you look at countries like what happened in Zimbabwe when their currency was tanking, those small fluctuations in the U.S. dollar equated to halving their value.
Yeah.
And that would half during the day.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what you're seeing with Bitcoin currently, because that's what happened in March of last year when this thing hit. It hit a 50% tank.
Yeah.
And because it's so unstable right now. But the idea being is that if you can have this finite resource that gets value of X amount
Yeah.
that doesn't have this shift. You won't have the same effect when it comes to a country like a Zimbabwe, where all of a sudden it's like you make a certain amount of money in a day, and now all of a sudden that thing can't buy you the same thing that you thought it could that morning.
Yeah.
Right? So like the instability of an economy for the US, okay, it might increase inflation, but in terms of the global economy, in terms of countries that don't have a high value to their currency, the effect on them is way more drastic because of these things. So it's like the US decides to print more money, and then all of a sudden that has this ripple effect that affects these countries that are in development.
Yes.
Whereas if you can have something that's more stable, development becomes a little bit more consistent. That's one of the reasons that they shut off the stock market after a certain point of falling. Once it lowers by 7.5%, they stop it because anything else is going to tank everyone else.
I want you to research the gold-backed dollar.
Yeah.
And compare that to an unbacked cryptocurrency. Because that's the thing is...
No, they're insane right now.
Using the word stable in cryptocurrency, because like until you... Yeah, so here's the thing is a normal currency is backed by that country's GDP.
Yes.
Right? Have we had this conversation on this podcast before? I think we have.
Probably.
You guys have gotten into this a few times.
Yeah.
Probably.
I've had to explain this to a lot of friends that because there's a lot of misinformation about Bitcoin out there right now. Like the concept of stable and Bitcoin or stable and crypto doesn't make any sense because there's no intrinsic value to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what you're talking about is you're talking about how we think of it.
There's no GDP, and it's naturally it takes labor to maintain and process it. No, just to keep it going. Just every transaction takes labor, whereas a transaction in normal currency doesn't take labor in that same way.
It takes labor in different ways.
Not the same.
Well, we have better established rules and systems.
And there's not inherent
place.
cost to processing. Right now, if I e-transfer you money, there's no giant set of servers simultaneously all racing to get there.
Yes.
Right? There's just CIBC is just like, oh, click, click. The robots just click, click, click.
But you could establish that with another form of currency.
That's what I'm trying to say.
We just built our entire system around this.
There's much better things than blockchain. Is where I'm at. I think that blockchain is the blockbuster of the group.
I don't know about that.
I think blockchain is the big awkward brother of Netflix going, get your VHSs. We're going to use VHSs forever. VHSs are the best. Look, they're this big and they're made of plastic.
But you're describing something that's the exact opposite of that. Like you're talking about it in terms of the idea that the system that we have currently built, as in the Blockbuster, as in the VHS, as in the Betamax, is the thing that's consistent. And most of the world's financial institutions are now jumping on board with Bitcoin.
Yes, but
I think we are at that awkward big brother stage right now.
Our financial institutions are the VHSs that we just have sitting at our house, right? And then Blockbuster's like, this is the new way to have VHSs at your house. You go out and rent it from a store. It's the way of the future. And then Netflix is just around the corner like, DVDs and VHSs? You're
you guys
crazy.
Are adorable. Which is
blockchain was so inefficient. What were we thinking?
Okay, there may be a different way of doing it better.
I would assume, yes, there is.
That's everything. We're always on our way.
We're going to find a way.
Yeah. The only problem that I see with majority of the ways of looking at this is the decentralization of a blockchain makes a lot of sense to me. The finality of a total amount of coin makes a lot of sense to me.
How do we pay people to decrypt blocks once there's no more Bitcoin to be made? Once 21 million has been reached?
I think the idea is that you're having an entire system that's engaging with the system, kind of like with 5G, right? Like the more people that are on a 5G network, the stronger it gets, the faster it gets.
No, but I mean, once you no longer have... How do you incentivize people to make more, like decrypt more blocks once you're no longer paying them in Bitcoin?
I mean, you could be paying them in Bitcoin from everyone else, technically. But at the same time...
So now you have a currency that is inherently inefficient and losing value each year.
It's designed to be inefficient.
Yeah. So this is why I'm calling it Blockbuster.
But this is where it's a currency, not a money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas the idea being is that this is not supposed to be fast. This is not supposed to be instantaneous. This is not supposed to be a debit card that you tap and everything happens like that.
No.
The idea is that they're valuing stability.
Yeah.
Because if you have this ledger maintained across everybody.
I don't understand why you're using that word again.
Stability of continuity. Because the idea of being able to hack the U.S. market.
Yes.
Right? Or the idea of being able to hack this thing. With an open ledger, that basically eliminates that unless you're able to hack everybody all at once.
Yeah.
So in terms of internet security, it's technically the most secure network in existence ever.
Right.
And so in terms of that has value. In terms of its finality, that has value.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I know this to be true. I'm just observing things about it that I could understand why people find it appealing. I can understand why, like Tesla just announced this morning that they're going to accept Bitcoin for sale from Tesla for Teslas.
Yeah.
And they're not going to change that into currency.
Right.
So they're going to be accumulating because like if all of a sudden this replaces the US dollar as the global currency that everything's measured to.
Yeah.
All of a sudden everything becomes a lot stranger.
Yeah.
Because now all of a sudden it's like you have people that this is kind of like when the US started, right? Like you had people that could be with gold. They had gold. They were mining gold or whatever. And then all of a sudden they got into this currency at a very low point in the market and made this exemplary wealth, right? This is kind of the same thing that's happening with Bitcoin in terms of these people that believe in this at the ground level. They've made the people that have bought in at the beginning, the 1 cent for a Bitcoin, they've made 600, 700 million times their investment.
Yeah, big time.
So if you talk about that as potential wealth, that's globe changing. Right?
Yeah.
There's
All
these
of a sudden
random nerds.
A few new
These random
billionaires on the
nerds that
scene.
are these random nerds that are just sitting in their houses with their computers in their mom's house that just happen to have 1 trillion equivalent US dollars.
Yeah.
That all of a sudden is a different distribution of wealth.
Yeah.
And then you could create industry around that. You could make different things for different people that could create new industry. If we're talking about in terms of these farms and things like that, you could create some sort of an incentive from the people that are the largest investors because they have the most to gain from it maintaining itself.
They could do none of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just live like pigs.
Well, the other side of this is that these assholes that have gotten all this stuff, they build the price up to $100,000 a share, or $100,000 a coin, and they all back out. Because if they all back out, 60% of that coin is held by the same people.
Yeah.
They don't trade it. So if those 60% are all just like, get ready for 2022, we pull the plug.
Yeah.
That would be the ultimate dick move, and then all of a sudden this is all gone.
And then they have money they can buy things with.
But it's not all
real
gone, though,
money.
Because
that's what I'm
countries with.
So this is what I'm talking about, though, is right now.
This is the definition of instability. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Exactly.
But this is also the same way that any currency starts.
This is the thing. This is going to happen somehow.
I've got one more anti-crypto blockchain thing. So right now, if we all take our money, we pool our resources, and we go together and we buy 1 or 2 Bitcoins with our savings. Okay, great. We've invested. Nope. We haven't. We've bought some gold and buried it in the ground, assuming it's going to be worth similar or more later.
Yeah.
Investing would be to go out and start a business or invest in a business that is then going to propel our economy further and keep more people employed, keep our GDP doing things. So right now, when North America is already losing the geopolitical battle, it's crazy that we're encouraging our upper middle class and our wealthy to go invest in something that is literally just hiding your money, just putting it in the mattress. That's all you're doing by buying Bitcoin, instead of propelling our economy forward. Like literally, if everyone right now rushed out and bought Bitcoin instead of investing it, we would crash our market and we would damage our economy for generations to come.
100%. It would almost force them to start taking Bitcoin as currency.
That's exactly it. That's what I was just thinking, is that we would just transition into that faster.
And now we've managed to make a new currency that is just spurring climate change to greater heights.
Well, but again, like I can't use that argument because everything that we're doing is doing that.
Yes, but you don't need to have each transaction have a megawatt footprint.
Why this is a problematic part of this argument, right?
Yeah.
Because like it's going to bother you no matter what happens.
Yes.
Right?
Well, I've gamed it. I've played through it, And no matter where you come to in this circle, there's no corner to stand in.
So you're saying that as computers get faster and more efficient and they can compute these things easier with less power drain,
No, that's
and then all of a sudden that our technology comes into a place where people are using solar powered roofs, people are using fusion reactors, people are using nuclear reactors.
That changes
then all of a
everything.
sudden all of a sudden that argument has no weight, which is what all of these nerds are assuming.
So stop now, pick it back up then.
Why? Because this way they've made $1 trillion.
Yeah, early
Like why
investors.
would they not want that? It's
For
like
the
whatever.
future of the human fucking race.
Yeah, but right now they
No
just
one
want $1
cares
trillion.
about that, though. They only care about
No, they
their
really
own
don't.
well-being.
So this is what I'm saying is right now we're like just slowly cutting ourselves. This is gonna be great. You see how I'm bleeding all over the place? Why would I stop? We'll have a fusion reactor to sew my
well,
stitches
but it
up
doesn't
later.
hurt right now.
This is also the thing. Like you got to recognize the psychology.
60% of reef has died in the last 5 years.
Some reefs have come back.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yep.
You fixed it.
Yep. 40% still alive.
But at the same time, okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about if you were to take all of those industries that we're about to lose due to automation,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden put all of that energy into fixing this nonsense.
I don't think we will.
But that would be jobs.
Yeah, it'd be great.
That would be jobs, and we'd have to fund it with probably the people that are replacing these people would have extra taxes on anybody that's using robots because we're trying to clean up the world. Then all of a sudden you've got maybe a possibility of giving people jobs that are endless because our waste is horrendous.
Yeah.
And we could maybe start cleaning things up a little bit. As
So-
long as China doesn't take over.
The reef thing is different because it's based on water temperature.
Totally.
So we don't have a way of cooling the ocean.
I mean, the only
It's
way we
just-
can look at it right now is to try and slow it by shutting off all the
Bitcoin.
garbage stuff.
Well, we'd need to shut off more than Bitcoin to do that.
No,
Yep.
that's Bitcoin's a little drop in the bucket compared to
Yeah,
Just-
so is France.
what? You want
Uh-oh.
to take out France? Oh no.
No,
This is some sort of blitzkrieg thing.
no. What I'm
We're
saying
getting
is like,
France now.
why do we have a currency that burns as much power as a whole country?
Yeah, no, we shouldn't.
That's
But
crazy.
but at the same time, I am more of the mindset that I don't think it's the I don't think it's the fact that we're doing
I think
this
it's our
this way.
generation's responsibility to.
Oh, we're not going to do anything like that. We've had this conversation. No
I
one-
think if it's
the
for
same-
profit,
we're going back to
100%.
glass bottles again. Like, no, if it's going to be too much trouble, we're not going to be arsed with it. It's not going to happen. It needs
You're
to be.
right.
It needs to be as simple as putting your clothes on and walking out the door for work, or else you're not doing it.
Yeah.
If you're going to ask people to do any kind of extra work to save the environment, you got no deal there.
Well, that's like if you can't turn it into a selfish thing.
So
Then-
this is
you
where
see
I
that thing
yeah.
about the what was it, tattooer from the city led up a group of people. They picked up 1,200 masks.
Yeah, I saw that.
1,200 masks, and that was just a few hours. Like in this one city,
Yeah.
they didn't go everywhere. Just this
Yeah,
area.
just a couple parks probably.
Right. Like there's so much garbage everywhere.
Yeah.
People just throw their shit all over the place callously.
Yeah, we're all selfish individuals.
Not only are we not going to do extra, we're working against what you're asking for.
Yeah.
So I'll do my weekly thing, psychedelics,
Sure.
because I guarantee you, when all of a sudden mushrooms are legal here, all of a sudden we start thinking a little bit more hippie.
But does that
Honestly,
you think people will go more out of their way to help if they had mushrooms?
100%.
Yeah. Or do you think they'd just go more out of their way to help themselves?
I think if you're a megalomaniac and you take mushrooms, you're going to be a worse megalomaniac.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you have an ounce of empathy in you, that ounce of empathy becomes
asking
2
a lot.
ounces. But I'm just saying, like it helps with that. Like it helps you stop seeing yourself as the only thing.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like that's one of those things where it's just like a mild amount of that in our society would do wonders.
So how do we convince people? I shouldn't go back to Bitcoin, but I'm gonna. How do we convince people? Hey, it's in your best interest for your culture to invest your money into goods, services, and labors and businesses
well,
that are.
first,
Yeah.
you are assuming that those people have savings.
No, I'm talking to
So
the
right.
people who would be buying Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I'm talking to all soon-to-be Bitcoin owners. right? And saying, hey, what if the best thing for you was to invest in profitable businesses that have real return, that are moving your country and your community further in an economic way, and not just generating, like, literally just burning coal.
I think
to
the only way
keep a
you
currency
get
going.
that done is by having like almost like an Ebenezer Scrooge moment where they live through their life just doing what they want, and then they see how it goes so wrong one day, and they're like, please, spirit, take me back, I'll be good, I'll care about the environment. Right?
Yeah,
You almost need to inflict upon them a sense of dread of what their individual actions will contribute to the world around them.
But that said,
Because I'm just one guy. Me throwing my mask on the ground isn't going to hurt anything.
Really,
investing in Fortis is better for him.
one of those doomsday things needs to be correct. One of those
Yeah.
things of like, if that documentary came out and Miami was gone right now, if
Yeah.
that was right,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, if Miami goes away because of
Fear
the
is a
tide,
great motivator.
then yes,
Yeah.
you'll have people start changing it.
If you see
But-
people start dropping dead around you because of this, then you're going to have a greater incentive.
It's already too late then.
Well, all around you.
I-
So where are people dying in Lethbridge from it?
From what?
From climate change.
Oh yeah, this is still a 20, 30-year
Well,
problem.
no, this is not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying like people
The-
don't
the-
begin to
the
care
threat
about
isn't
danger
real.
until
the threat
it's
isn't real yet.
It's
Yeah.
not tangible, no.
until
Yeah.
it's tangible, until you can see the damage. It may as well not exist.
Yeah.
That's everyday life for
The other
most
thing
people.
that's really hard is that, like, it's not just the fact that Canada needs to change. It's a much bigger issue than
Of
that,
course,
right?
yeah.
So it's one of those, like, you
But this
can't.
is one of those places where each of us has a little bit of control. Is where we put that chunk of the pie.
Okay, so here's your first thing: don't
Yeah.
buy anything made in China.
I mean,
It's hard.
You can't anymore.
I know,
Yeah.
but this is the world we live
So
in.
much
now.
stuff doesn't even
So
get labeled. like
why
where it
buy
was made.
currency made in China?
Well, it's not. So this is the difference between, and this is one of the.
Buzzing.
So
Sorry.
think about it this way:
I can't stop a dog with a bone now. My
Think
bad.
about it this
Dog
way.
on a bone, frothing
why
its
is
mouth.
China doing that?
Doing what?
Why
Making
has the
Bitcoin?
Chinese government decided to invest in that? Why?
Because they're wildly efficient. They have more
No.
ability
No.
to pool resources together.
Okay, that's how they're doing it. I'm
Yeah.
talking, why are they doing that? Why does China see this as valuable?
Because it's profitable.
Why?
Because they can trade it for American dollars.
Okay, that's one
Just like
reason.
everything
That
else
could
they
be one
make?
reason.
Yeah.
But that has some finality to it as well.
Yeah.
But what's the other reason?
Because if they can make a currency that's stable and tilted in their favor, they can get more clout on the geopolitical scale.
Because they see value in it.
Because they can trade it for the American dollar.
That's what you think. If it's
Yeah.
actually going to be a global currency, if there is actually going to be a global currency, they want to have their chunk of the pie, and they want it to be bigger than everybody else's chunk of the
Well,
pie.
because right
Why?
now they've been used to having so little.
Which is
of the
why I'm
pie.
saying reject it. Let them fucking have it. Let's make our own, man.
I'm just saying, you have to see why people see value in this.
Yeah,
Because,
I do.
But you don't, because you're writing it off. You're saying that, the climate
I'm writing
change
off
thing
because
is not going to be
I'm writing off
worth it.
So
We should
what
do it a
you're
different
saying
way.
is I
I
don't
don't think it's the final
because it's
answer.
a group he's against. He can't see them as having human reasons.
Oh, I see.
real,
Got
real
it.
reasons.
Got it.
Right.
Yeah,
What-
despite my moral adversity, I'm still tempted to buy some.
But
I think it might be a good investment.
But like what I think,
it might make money.
What I think Kevin's trying to get you to say is like, in China, there's a guy just like Scott.
Yeah.
Right. He's not thinking, how can I destroy the world?
No.
How can I ruin the world's economy?
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. Like he's
Well,
not,
in China they are.
But
how-
that's not what I'm saying.
how can
I'm
I
saying,
dominate
like,
the world's economy?
It's not necessarily like coming from a place of like evil interest.
No, it's
What?
self-interest. That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're ascribing nefarious intent.
It's like
On China?
But
of
no,
course
no.
I am.
But okay, so
They
let me
openly have
give you
nefarious
let me
intent.
give you an example. So back in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, comic books were drawn like say Captain America where Captain America was fighting the Japanese and German people, and they were literal monsters.
Yeah.
Like they were monsters in German and Japanese outfits, right? Literal demons. Some of them had wings, breathing fire, right? Made them really easy to kill. Or now it's clear that they're the villains. And Captain America is the good guy. Captain America is as a character only exists as propaganda, by the way. He's not a real superhero. He was a propaganda device. But all of the superheroes were fighting similar battles then.
Yeah, Superman.
So, like, that's just a way of vilifying your enemy, right? But like, they don't think of themselves
No,
as
they think of themselves as the hero.
Right, exactly.
Oh,
And
yeah, see...
So for them, like, why would... Now, if you're them, why would you do that? Like, if you're... And don't assume that they're evil. They're born evil, raised evil, right? Don't assume they're monsters. Put yourselves in their shoes.
So they're only monsters from our perspective in the next couple decades, right? Like, if you're a Chinese citizen right now, your country is doing you quite well, right? Your future, well, not currently, but your future looks reasonably bright to be part of the world's biggest superpower it's ever seen, and the biggest, like, economically superpower as well. But from our perspective, going, oh, I kind of like only working 40 hours a week. I'd like to not have to work 80 hours a week. I'd like to keep some of these freedoms that I have.
I'd like to own some stuff.
I'd like to own some stuff. I'd like to be able to afford property. I'd like to be able to continue on with my freedoms, and I'd like to be able to save the planet, et cetera, right? As soon as someone else takes that power away from you, maybe our lives will be better. As China gets a bigger piece of the global pie. Maybe they won't. We're sitting here in a rather uncertain time where our culture and economy is in decline, right? Our government has come to a standstill. We're going nowhere as a culture, as a nation, as an economy. So by all means, there is some nefariousness to other countries gaining larger and larger footing.
Well, self-betterment comes at the cost of others.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So they think by doing what they're doing that it's self-betterment.
Yeah.
Which in the respect of, like, say that they're not absolutely insane. They think that they're doing this for their people.
They are.
Okay? The difficulty
they're also keeping people in internment camps for their people.
Yeah.
And
because in this respect, they view religion as an evil.
And they've already gained enough power.
This argument is smacking on the door of the we all could be Nazis territory.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
100%. But all I'm saying is that, like, if you're wanting to write off Bitcoin and they're not, I would highly, highly look at why you're writing it off and they're not. Because
it's a moral issue.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But again, I've given you options as to why that moral issue would be taken care of within the next few years. So if you only have the moral issue of that it costs more in terms of power, well, that power...
And
then does it not matter what China's intentions are anymore once the environmental issues are sheared up?
But I'm just saying, take that environmental thing off the table.
That's exactly it.
Then all of a sudden, what do you feel about Bitcoin?
Yeah. Does it still bother you that China's bettering from it?
Yeah, of course.
But all I'm saying is that, yes, that's a point of it. The rest of the world's doing it in face of that.
Yeah.
So I think we should work on those things.
Take away carbon footprint, take away China. Like, if China didn't exist, if there was no superpower with people in internment camps, that we were powerless to go in there and change that.
It's crazy.
Like, that's the thing is, right now, the more power they get, the more they can do that shit, and we just turn a blind eye because we have no choice.
Forced to, basically.
Yeah. So what happens if it's people with tattoos in internment camps next?
I completely agree with you. But what I'm saying is, then why wouldn't you want North America to have a greater stake in this thing that they seem to value?
Because if North America didn't value it and no one else valued it, it's not worth anything.
But culturally, people seem to be valuing it.
Yeah. And I think it's a fucking mistake.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, like, you may see that. But culture isn't. Blockbuster may have thought that, but culture didn't. And that's what I'm saying. It's like you might feel different if culture decides to keep going forward, and then all of a sudden you have to trade in your Canadian dollars for Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, that day might happen.
Yeah,
of course.
I'm just saying that it's like it's worth looking at why people place this weird extreme value on this thing.
Oh, I've
like
done a lot of reading
the
on
odd potential that
I'm very
seeing
familiar
in
with
this.
why.
Yeah,
but I'm also familiar with I've also had a lot of discussions with lay people who don't understand the difference of a currency linked to somebody's GDP and goods for sale in somebody's country to
entirely psychologically based view of
to an entirely
value.
speculative currency that people
Yeah.
are dumping their money into
wild.
instead of reinvesting it into the economy, into successful business, right? So there's also that. Like, even if it was, this is Canada coin.
Well,
Check
when
us
people
out.
invest, though, Scott, they're not thinking a lot of the time about, I support this. They're just thinking, I want to make money. How can I do that?
And that's where we need to start the education.
Like,
what we
they're
all
not
need to
thinking,
learn
I
is,
really believe in this company. I don't care if they make me money or not. I'm going to invest in them.
well,
No,
and
it's
that's
like-
what we need to change. That's where we have, if we're going to succeed as a culture, as an economy, we need to shift our mentality to that. Yes, profitable companies, like if you make the right choices, you can invest in smart companies and make a profit. And that's where we need to be putting our perspective to.
Yeah.
It's like, am I trading primarily on the NYSE and the CSE, or am I primarily trading on the NASDAQ is already American? Anywhere, the Giangi or whatever foreign exchanges. No, I'm trading almost entirely on I'm trading entirely on our local exchanges in our local currencies to further our economies here.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
My thing, and again, I come back to it, I can't see a path to that without embracing psychedelics. I honestly can't. Because people are too...
It's more of a propaganda problem.
Do you think?
Yeah. This is where propaganda would work. This is where propaganda would frickin' help.
How would you structure that?
Unfortunately, as much as I hate all of this, it's advertising dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how do you spend those dollars? What kind of ads do you do?
Ugh, I don't want to talk about that. That's gross. I hate all this.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm always curious about all these things because
No,
I have no idea. I like to try and think it out as much as I can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like the whole thing drives me nuts because I really have no clue.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I can't foresee it getting to a place where I don't know. It just seems like it's getting wilder and wilder.
It is.
And I just like to I like to think out the idea
But
of it.
this is where we become less efficient as a government. As a government, we're no longer allowed to give our opinions to people and be like, "Hey, this is what would be better for us as a group."
Yeah.
We can no longer do that.
Yeah.
Now it's like, here's some warnings to keep you safe.
Yeah.
I think I'm allowed to say this.
Yeah, I know.
Don't give any definitive answers.
Yeah. So
Suggestions.
we've lost our efficiency and cohesion, and no one wants to do anything that's better for the whole.
Well,
now.
there is no
Yeah, it's
better.
And the thing
for
is,
the
like right
whole.
now, people are like, "Oh no, if I can do something that hurts the government, that's better."
Yeah, I know.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
But
it's
we're in a-
kind of
we're in
going to
a-
be better if
a
you.
very postmodern kind of society where there is no necessary better answer to everything.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right? It's all about what you think. My truth.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's just fascinating to me because I'm fully in that.
So
but I
this
just
is-
can't see people.
So this is what
drifting
I'm
to
saying.
it.
Next time you hear someone like do the research, and if you form an opinion where like, oh, actually, if I think that investing in Bitcoin is a detractor for our society and for our economy, swat that person's hand and be like, nah, none of that crap. What we need as a group is to get our poop in a group and work together in this direction.
Yeah, I hear you.
Right? So like, as much as I've been a bit hostile for the past like 40 minutes, it's partly just because I have strong feelings and I could be super incorrect.
That's good because I don't have strong feelings about it.
Yeah.
I'm just interested.
I could be super incorrect, but I've just had a lot of people kind of bring up those opinions that I've been kind of hand swatty. Like, I don't know, I've read some shit, and I think it's really fucking bad for us
Yeah.
as a global and as a national community.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay,
Maybe
cool.
Bitcoin's not the answer, but
Yeah,
we
probably
got to
not.
come up with something.
Yeah, I'm with you there.